Hi, I'm Lara and welcome to See Here on Saturday. Today we've got Jackie cooking up something special for Valentine's. We also investigate what services are available to profoundly deaf people who suffer from tinnitus.
Now, I know you've got tinnitus and you've had it for a long time. Can you explain what it is and what it's like?
We'll also be meeting some lottery winners and the New Zealand Deaf Rugby team. But first, over to the Deaf News.
Hello. The deafblind charity Sense is organising a lobby and march on Parliament on March the 9th to highlight its campaign for specialist support for deafblind people. The charity says that although deaf organisations and blind organisations are supportive and have represented their views on the task force set up to advise the government on the Disability Discrimination Act, only people who are both deaf and blind can properly understand their needs. Their main aim is to get MPs and ministers to realise that deafblind people need specialist support in the form of communication workers and interpreters. They hope that the lobby will raise the profile of deafblind people and raise awareness of the issue. Sense say that the march is open to all deafblind people, their family and friends, supporters, guides and interpreters, and that it hopes to pay the expenses of the first 100 deafblind people to register that they are going. See Here is making a special programme about cancer in the spring, looking at the issues surrounding cancer, the disease itself, how it affects people with it and those around them, and the access that deaf people have to information about the disease and its treatment. We will be covering a wide range of cancers in women and men, and we are particularly keen to talk to men who have experienced testicular or prostate cancer and are willing to be filmed talking about this very important subject. We will of course treat everybody with respect and all contacts will be confidential. Contact us at See Here on Saturday. The address as usual is at the end of the programme. The integrated theatre company Grey Eye is going on tour tonight with a new production of a Tennessee Williams play, A Lovely Sunday for Cleve Kerr. It's a comedy about 4 women in St. Louis in the 1930s. Caroline Parker plays the part of Bodie, a deaf woman, and See Here on Saturday will be showing a profile of Caroline and the play in March. The production starts its tour in Cambridge tonight and tours extensively in England for the next 8 weeks, so it should be in the theatre near you sometime. All of Grey Eye's performances are signed and very accessible to the deaf community, as their artistic director is deaf as well. Now, back to Lara.
Jackie, hi! What's he doing here?
Well, this is Terry. He's a producer for See Here, and he'd never cooked a meal for his wife. In how long?
Well, I've been married for 31 years. I never needed to.
Huh.
I've been looked after by my mother, then my wife, and I've got 2 daughters.
You're so spoiled.
Typical northern bloke, I'm afraid.
I thought I'd take the opportunity to teach him how to make a Valentine meal for his wife.
Hope I don't burn it.
True. Okay, well I'll catch up with you two later.
First of all, I'm going to show Terry how to make beef Wellington. Looks pretty good, Terry. Right. Brilliant. Now, I'll show him how to do the pastry. You don't need to slave over this. It's really simple, and you can buy it ready-made from a shop. Sainsbury's or Swedish shop. Then you just have to roll it out. You need squares of 7 inches. Too much, Terry. You need to turn it quickly. Turn it over quickly. Yeah, that'll be enough. Oh, he's an expert now. Lovely. put that in there. Perfect. Now the pastry. It's puff pastry. You cut the squares by 7 inches. It's dead simple. You just roll it out. Scoop up some of this. Add a little water. It's just water. Ta-da! Perfect. Now put these on.
Oops. Yours is heavy and mine's really light.
These go in the oven now at 230 degrees or gas mark 8. They need to stay in there until they rise up and go brown. But before they go in,
To stop them from splitting.
yes, it allows the steam to escape. They're ready to go in now.
Well, that was hard work. I know what we need now. Cheers. So, what next?
Now we'll boil the vegetables. This is swede and these are potatoes. We need to mash these. That's right.
With this?
No butter. That's enough? Yep, that's it. Shake the bag. Yes, that's it. Perfect. Now you spoon that into here. Go on, go on. That's lovely. Great.
Into the oven now?
Yeah. Right, I've made the sauce. I've used a beef stock, some red wine, mushroom, garlic and herbs. Smell gorgeous. Now let's add it to the plates.
Lovely.
Looks nice?
What about this?
That's asparagus, the food of love.
That'll do for me.
Absolutely. It's really simple to cook. It just steamed for 5 minutes.
It all looks great.
Hi guys, looks great. How does it feel to have created your first meal, Terry?
It was really interesting. I was worried about making a mess of it, but I really enjoyed myself.
Looks great.
Come on then, let's taste it.
Well, I bet it'll be lovely. I can't wait to try it.
Yeah, dig in.
Mmm, very rich.
Not bad, if I say so myself.
Yeah, it's really nice. But where's the chocolate? You've got to have a chocolate dessert on Valentine's.
Patrons, we'll come to that later.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll see you two later. These days, lots of people pop across the channel to save money on duty-free goods. Mark Nelson tells us how, if you do your homework, you can come home with something a bit more valuable than some cheap French wine.
Now, as you know, I'm a poor student. I can't even afford to buy food. But I am learning to drive at the moment, and when I do pass my test, I plan to get myself a really flash car. After all, I am a television star. Of course, cars in this country are so expensive. And it reminds me actually of a chat that I was having the other day with my mate Derek.
Yeah, Mark, I've just got myself a new motor. Full Fiesta, 7,700 quid.
No way, you can't have. I've seen them in the showrooms. They're about 10 grand. No way, you didn't.
Yeah, but I didn't buy it here. I went over to Belgium.
Get off, you Wally. Well, I did some research, and it turns out that Derek isn't quite the Wally that I thought he was. New cars in Britain are more expensive than other parts of Europe. In Britain, they can be anything from 10 to 60% more pricey for exactly the same model than in the rest of Europe. So why are British cars so dear? Well, Derek's bringing along someone who can tell us more. Well, he should be. He's always late. Gets right on my nerves. Where have you been? You're late. Come on, I've been waiting for ages.
Yeah, I've brought him, haven't I?
Oh, whatever. Why are British cars so expensive?
Well, the car manufacturers actually have a lot of control over their dealers and the prices they charge for cars. And we believe that the dealers are under undue pressure to charge UK consumers more than those in the rest of Europe. The car manufacturers control their dealers. They can actually withdraw their dealerships, their franchises, if the dealers don't toe the line and charge the prices they want to.
Now, my mate Derek, he reckons that he went over to Belgium and bought a brand new car. It was right-hand drive, and he shipped it back. Can you do that?
Importing a car from other European countries is absolutely legal and absolutely to be encouraged because you can make very big savings that way.
So why are cars so much cheaper in Europe?
Well, we believe because the manufacturers actually have quite a lot of control over prices, they're actually taking advantage of the fact that UK car drivers drive on the other side of the road and it's more difficult for them to import a car.
Well, why don't we all buy our cars in Europe and just ship them back over here?
Importing a car from another European country is quite difficult. Apart from anything else, we're finding that a lot of the dealers abroad are refusing to supply a right-hand drive car for people in Britain, despite the fact that this is technically illegal. The rules that govern car dealerships and the way cars are sold say that car dealers in any European Union state must supply a car for import at the local price to anyone who wants to import one. But what we're finding is that the car manufacturers are actually putting pressure on their dealers not to supply cheaper cars for UK car buyers.
Derek reckons that he knows people who've saved £3,000, £4,000, even £5,000 buying the cars in Europe. And I want to know if that's really true. Come on. Right, I've decided which car I want. Now let's call some dealers in Europe. I'm having some language problems doing the deal, so I'm sticking with Holland and Belgium because they tend to speak better English. Great. I found a guy in Holland and he's offering me a Rover 400. It is right-hand drive, and even with all the shipping costs and everything, I'm still going to save... It does take time and effort to buy your car in Europe, but it's worth it, and I reckon it will save you on average about £3,000 if you import your car.
If you want more information, we've compiled a fact sheet which is available from our website. Now, are you one of those who do this every week? We're all hoping to strike it rich. Well, these members of Manchester Deaf Club just got lucky. How much did you win?
Altogether 106,000.
Wow!
Yes, we've got 15 in our syndicate, and we've been doing it for 2 years. Up till now, we've just won little bits and pieces. But this was the big one. We got 5 correct numbers as well as the bonus ball. Now, I don't tend to bother watching the draw really, but that night, it was about 8:10 after the draw, and I got a call from a deaf friend, and he told me. I just couldn't believe it.
He was grinning away after the phone call and said it was about the lottery, but I was watching my favourite programme, so I told him to wait till it was over. I asked him how many numbers we'd got. He said 4, so I thought, well, that's nothing, and went back to my programme. When I'd finished, I went into the kitchen and I noticed that he had the remote control and was looking it up. He said we'd won £7,000. I thought he meant the syndicate had won £7,000, but no, it was each.
I bought the ticket, thank God. So I had to call Liverpool and then I had to go up there. When we got there, they asked all these questions. I had to show them my passport and letters. I had to confirm what time and where I bought the ticket, all these kind of things. Then they asked Stephen if he had the ticket. He said yes and handed it over. They went off, came back and said, "Congratulations." Then we had to be photographed. A bit like mugshots, really. It was like we'd been arrested. That was that, of course. Then I had to go to the Deaf Club and everybody was there waiting. So I thought I'd take my time and keep them in suspense. I got them all together and had the cheques to hand out. They were all dead excited. They couldn't wait. They wanted them now. So I dished it out and they were all really chuffed.
So you've got all this money, what are you going to spend it on?
Well, I haven't got any plans really, because you see our son's getting married next month, so we've got that to deal with first. Others have done things like, well, they bought a new car, and one's paying for his daughter to go to university, another shared it with his children, and the other one is thinking of spending it on a trip out to Australia, because, well, you know, they've got family over there.
And you?
Oh, I'm going skiing with my family and I'm really looking forward to it.
Sounds lovely. Thanks and enjoy the money. I'm definitely playing next week. I hope your luck rubs off. In next week's See Here, we'll be finding out how lottery money is helping deaf organisations. In the past, deaf people weren't always very visible in the sport of rugby, but these days there are a number of deaf rugby teams and some playing at international level. The New Zealand deaf rugby team have just completed a tour of Wales. Jackie went to meet them.
I'm in Swansea, in Wales, and I'm here to meet the New Zealand rugby team. They're on a 1-month tour of Wales, and I'm meeting them at the halfway stage. It looks a bit of a dangerous sport. They're on a break, and they've said they'll teach me some of the basics. Hi, you're the chief trainer, aren't you?
Yeah, well, let's see. Right now, what we're working on is pushing strength. Because if they're not up to strength, well, they'll just get pushed back. Do you want to join in?
Me?
Yeah, come on.
What's with this lifting thing? What do they do that for?
Right, now look, what you've got to do is to get up high to get the ball and then pass it quickly. It's very fast and you've got to be tough. Otherwise, you're going to lose. And you've got to make sure that you get possession and move the ball up the field in stages. So, do you want to give it a go?
Me?
Yeah, come on. And listen, when you've got it, throw it this way.
Up there? Yep, okay.
Wow.
Tommy, why have you got two separate groups training at opposite ends?
Yeah, well, you see, those guys, they're working on the scrum. So for them, it's mostly passing skills and like. Whereas the other guys, well, they're the wingers. Later, we'll get them together and train as a whole team.
I see. Well, I'll leave you to get on with your training. Any idea where I'd find Kevin? He said he'd tell me more about the tour, but I'm not sure where he is.
Well, I tell you what, I think you'll find Kevin in the bar.
The bar? All right, I'll see you later.
Yeah, see you.
The guys in the team said you'd be here.
I'm just trying to keep out of the cold. Wales is freezing. I'm staying in here.
So how long have the deaf rugby team been playing?
It was set up 7 years ago. The rugby union official body now recognise us as a club. So we train regularly, play competitively, and here we are now on an official tour in Wales.
And what level does a deaf rugby team play at?
3rd division. In New Zealand, there's a 1st, 2nd and 3rd division. Most of the guys are from 3rd division, forwards and backs. They play in different hearing clubs.
Hi guys.
Hi, Jackie.
Do you think that sign language gives you an advantage when you're playing a match? Do you have any secret codes you can tell us about?
Yeah, the forwards use their own kind of secret codes. For instance, if they're in a group waiting for the ball, then they can like close in with their backs to the other side, and the captain, who's obviously in charge, he's going to tell them the tactics. Now, it doesn't matter if they're oral, it's still going to work, and the other side can't see. The backs have their own codes too. They just keep their backs to the other team and they sign away.
I see. Thanks very much. Can I buy you guys a drink?
Nah, no thanks. Listen, Jackie, you can't just sit here doing nothing. So come on, let's get back over to the training ground and let's see if you can score one for England.
Yeah. Come on then. Really? If you're interested in rugby, then contact us at Sea Here, and we'll tell you more. See you. Oh no!
Hopefully we'll be seeing more of Jackie later on. Now, do any of you suffer from tinnitus? It's more common than people realise. Around 10% of the population have it. That's 6 million sufferers, and it can be torture. Hi there, thanks for coming in.
Hello, Lara.
My two guests today are Kathy Price from the Tinnitus Helpline and Pauline Bain, who is a sufferer. Can you tell me about tinnitus and what's it like to have it?
Tinnitus is terrible. It's noises in your ear. It started when I was 12. I used to get these noises buzzing like bees. I was always looking round, but of course there was nothing there. Or bird sounds, but indoors. I couldn't understand what it was. So it went on, but then about 10 years ago it got really bad. It was constant. Sometimes like aircraft noise, or the sound of a train in a tunnel. Bird sounds of all sorts. It was awful. It started to affect my behaviour, and my family were beginning to notice. They'd be looking at me funny and asking me if I was all right. My husband could tell that something was wrong, and my children were getting upset by it. So I went to see the doctor and explain what was happening. I also asked the doctor to explain to my children, who are hearing, what tinnitus is and what it's like. After that, they realised what was happening and why Mum was like she was.
Tinnitus is a variety of noises. Pauline's done quite a good description of the range of noises. Some people just have one, some people have dozens of different ringings, buzzings, hummings. But for people who are either hard of hearing or who are hearing, there is tinnitus therapy based within hospitals and tinnitus clinics, and you can get help, which is a combination of things. There are the noise generators, or maskers as they used to be called, which mask the sound or retrain the brain so that you don't concentrate on the tinnitus so much. And part of the therapy includes substantial counselling, advising people about it, what causes it, how to manage it. The problem is if you're profoundly deaf, you can't use the noise generator because you can't hear it. And often when you go to hospital, there isn't an interpreter, so the counselling isn't helpful to you either.
Did you get any help for your tinnitus?
I did go into hospital for some tests which showed that I was profoundly deaf, and the doctor gave me what looks like a hearing aid. It was called a masker. I didn't realise what it was for, but I put it on anyway. I found that when I wore it, the noises were actually worse, so I didn't wear it after that. It wasn't suitable for me. It is useful if you get some advice and explanation about what tinnitus is. For example, coffee can make it worse, so can sugar and chocolate. So you have to avoid those things. It's useful to get that kind of information, but access is pretty poor. It's not very satisfactory. I'd like to see a service where you can talk to a deaf person who knows what it's like and who can help. That's the sort of service that hard of hearing people have. We should have that too.
What kind of things would you hope to see achieved?
One of the real problems is we don't know how many profoundly deaf people with tinnitus who are troubled by it. What we'd like to know is just how many there are out there with it. And so it would be good if one of the deaf organisations or perhaps the Institute of Hearing Research did some research into this to find out about the extent of troublesome tinnitus. I'd also like to see hospitals geared up to dealing with profoundly deaf people with tinnitus. That means they have to provide interpreters and they have to be prepared to spend the time to explain tinnitus in detail and to use the interpreter. I think another thing that would be really useful are aids and devices, really things like videos that provide relaxation images but also give you information, subtitled information, interpreted information about tinnitus. And finally, I'd like lots more people to telephone the helpline and to ask us about it and get information about it. And we can then tell them about their nearest services and advise them to ask for interpreters when they go.
Thank you both for coming in. For more information on tinnitus, you can contact us at See Here on Saturday or call the Tinnitus Minicom helpline. Here's the number. Now, news review.
The England football coach Glenn Hoddle was sacked this week after he made remarks in a newspaper interview which seemed to suggest that he thought disabled people were paying for sins in a previous life. The Football Association said that his remarks and the storm of protest that followed them meant that they could no longer continue to employ him. Hoddle said that he was sorry if he had caused offence, but although he didn't deny the remarks, he said that they had been taken out of context. Disabled groups largely welcomed his sacking. Sense, the deaf-blind charity, released a survey showing that 2/3 of deaf-blind people in the UK supported Hoddle's sacking. But there was a feeling from some that he had been hounded out of office and that he had been the victim of a witch hunt. Lord Ashley said that although Hoddle was a victim of his own misjudgment, it was a sad day for tolerance and free speech. Leading government figures had earlier appeared to join the call for him to go, including Tony Blair, Tony Banks the Sports Minister, and Margaret Hodge, Minister for Disabled People. Scientists in America have discovered the origin of the main HIV virus that causes AIDS in humans. They made the discovery in frozen blood samples from a chimpanzee that died in 1985. Blood and tissue from the chimpanzee contained an almost genetically identical virus to HIV-1, the main human virus. These species of chimpanzee are hunted and eaten in the Central African rainforests, and it is thought that people ate the infected chimpanzees and then passed the virus on to other people via sexual contact. This discovery has an enormous significance in the hunt for a cure for AIDS in humans. Scientists have been baffled by the fact that chimpanzees who have been injected with the HIV virus don't develop AIDS, even though they share 98% of our genetic material. If scientists can discover why not, then they may be closer to adapting the chimpanzee's defense mechanisms against the disease and developing an antidote for people with the virus. This may prove difficult though, as this specific species of chimpanzee is rare and is still hunted in the rainforests. If it becomes extinct, then we may have lost a chance to find a cure for one of the most noxious diseases to afflict mankind. A British couple and a Dutch family of 4 who were kidnapped in Yemen 2 weeks ago have been released, unharmed, by tribesmen in the north of the country. As we reported last week, kidnapping by the tribesmen is not uncommon, and the hostages are usually released following the payment of a ransom or the release of other tribesmen held in Yemen prisons. The British couple said that they had been treated well by the kidnappers and that they had no plans to leave Yemen and return to Britain.
Tamam. Tamam. Tayyib.
This is the second kidnapping that's been resolved this week. Another British man was freed just 6 hours after he was kidnapped. 2 Germans seized last week, though, are still being held. The Yemen authorities have pledged not to use force to try to free the hostages after the disastrous attempt to free 16 Westerners held by an extreme Islamic group resulted in the deaths of 4 of the hostages. In a separate development, the 5 British Muslims accused of planning a bombing campaign in Yemen have had their trial adjourned until next Saturday. They deny the charges. The Foreign Secretary, Robin Cook, flew to Serbia this week to present a demand to the warring factions in Kosovo to accept a peace deal or face airstrikes. He was representing the Contact Group, which is made up of America, Russia, Britain, France, Italy and Germany. He told the Serbian President, Slobodan Milosevic, and leaders of the Kosovo Liberation Army that they had a week to agree to come to France for talks, or the Contact Group would draw up a military option to force them to. Both the KLA and representatives of the Serbian government are expected to attend, though the prospects of a quick solution to this long-running conflict look unlikely.
Orban, top!
The atmosphere in the region was heightened this week when the bodies of 24 ethnic Albanians were discovered in a village in western Kosovo. They had apparently been killed in revenge for a fatal attack on a Serb policeman earlier. Part of the peace plan would be to send in troops from the Contact Group to reinforce any ceasefire. This is seen as a move to reassure the KLA, but it is likely to be resisted by the Serbs, who say they are fighting a war against terrorism. The two sides have until today to agree the proposals. The Australian nanny who shook a baby in her care to death has been given a 15-month suspended prison sentence. This means that unless she commits another crime, she won't go to prison, despite admitting that she killed the child. The 6-month-old baby girl died last April, 5 days after Louise Sullivan shook her violently. The judge sentencing her said that there were exceptional circumstances regarding her mental health, which meant that she should not go to prison. The judge said she needed help, not a prison sentence, and that it was clear that she had no intention of harming the child. The court was told that her mental problems were made worse by a thyroid deficiency, and that the tragedy could have been averted if the problems were spotted earlier. The baby's parents left the court without commenting. A Conservative member of the European Parliament, Tom Spencer, has decided to step down after admitting bringing drugs and gay pornography into the country after a weekend in Amsterdam. Customs officers found gay sex videos and cannabis cigarettes in his suitcase, and he told them that he also had a small quantity of cocaine in his pocket. He also revealed that he was bisexual and that his wife knew about his homosexual affairs.
Centre, that's good. Centre. And just one on this camera.
12 British holidaymakers on a flight to Jamaica were forced off the plane after an alleged mid-air brawl. The pilot diverted the plane to Virginia in North America, where the 12 were ordered off. The stewardess had said that she was unable to control the situation in the plane and feared for passengers' safety. The 12 people concerned have said that they were just having a sing-song and that although they were tipsy, they were not drunk and posed no threat to other passengers. Air Tours, which organised the flight, has banned them from their planes for life and refused to allow them to fly back home on their planes. The 12 were stuck at Virginia Airport for 2 days and had to pay about £1,000 each to fly back to Britain with a different airline. Air Tours has also said that it will consider legal action to try and reclaim the estimated £20,000 it cost to divert the plane after the incident. security camera at a museum in Leicester may have captured film of a ghost. Cameras at Belgrave Museum appear to have filmed 2 ghostly apparitions outside the house. The cameras are triggered automatically by anyone or anything moving in front of them, and at 5 o'clock in the morning they came on and filmed a ghostly figure approaching the museum. Then a few seconds later, swirling mist appeared along the top of a wall in the background. The curator of the museum said that he believed the house was definitely haunted. There have been other supernatural sightings there before. A ghostly woman has apparently been seen walking through the house. In Victorian times, the house was owned by the local MP, and the ghost is believed by some to be that of one of his 3 daughters. That's not a ghost, that's Clive Mason. And that reminds me, he'll be presenting the news next week. That's all from me. Now back to Lara. Bye-bye.
These look nice. What's going on?
Well, Terry's worked hard, so to give him a break, we've bought these from the shops. They vary from £2 up to £10, so they're not really that expensive.
What's this one?
That's truffle.
Can I try it?
That's creme brulee. It's just something a little bit different.
Delicious.
Which one have you picked out for your wife?
This one.
Save me one of those for later.
Oh, I'll have 2 then.
Thanks, guys. That's it for this week. Next week we've got a signed song from Charles Hampton, and Mark will be here again from St John Ambulance with some more first aid tips. And John Hay will be in Scotland to find out more about devolution. Bye!